All right, folks, it's August 24th, 2023, just another day. And of course, we're going to be talking about just another central bank that is encouraged by XRP. And of course, it was just another day of the silver vaults getting drained here. We're going to be talking about that as well as what's been taking place at BRICS. A lot of big deals at BRICS going down. We're going to get you a full update. Let's get right on into it. I appreciate everyone for tuning in here. God bless all of you. Everything can be found over at my website, ZachRector.com. And if you appreciate what we're doing, I just got to remind everybody to please smash it. Let's get it. So we're looking at this summit and President Putin not in attendance in person, checking in through a video call. But he says that the US dollar is losing its global role in an objective and irreversible process. Now, that is the key word right there, irreversible process. This is what I keep on bringing it back to with the BRICS situation, the hype, the narratives, is I'm just reiterating the point. Focus on the trend, which is us losing our share of that reserve currency status. Are we going to lose the number one spot? Probably not. I hope not as an American, right? But watch the trend, and the trend continues, and we're going to keep on showing you guys what I'm talking about here. At BRICS, we have Chinese leader Xi Jinping says it's necessary for BRICS countries to promote a reform of the international monetary and financial system. In other words, monetary reset. All the conversations here are about this level playing field. We have already been working on a BRICS satellite constellation and thinking about creating a BRICS space exploration consortium. And so this brings it back to our speculation, right, on Elon, Starlink. Are they running nodes in space, right? The low Earth orbit, I should call it. India, by the way, did land on the moon yesterday, if you believe that. Which, I'm just going to leave my comments at that, actually. But this is critical. This is the satellite systems in space that are going to link you up. If you want to move it quantum, you got to have the satellites in low Earth orbit. And so they're working on securing that for themselves as well. This brings it back to the national security conversation around digital assets, these systems, not just being another payments platform, not just being, a little crypto bro, but this is national security at stake, right? And so the BRICS nations potentially looking at doing their own systems up there. And then we got more comments here from President Xi Jinping. International rules must be written jointly rather than dictated by those with the strongest muscles or the loudest voice. We need to accelerate the BRICS expansion process. Now, we are supposed to be getting today the news on the other countries that are going to be announcing that they have formally been accepted into BRICS. But I keep on bringing it back to watch the trend as far as us losing the reserve currency, but then also watch all the countries outside of BRICS that are just done with the dollar, because that's what's important, right? That brings it back to the first point about us losing that reserve currency status. They don't have to formally join BRICS to back their currency by gold, by silver, by real commodities. And this is what we need to pay attention to. Now, when we, speaking on silver, by Zhaojun, silver vaults on Shanghai Futures Exchange continued to flow out on a large scale today, dropping 32,000 kilograms, once again hitting a new low since the silver squeeze. So over there in Shanghai, those vaults getting drained. We saw yesterday, it was actually only 3,000 ounces. 3,000 ounces were pulled on Wednesday. It was kind of a quiet day at the COMEX vaults, but the day before on Tuesday, the 22nd, it was 1.1 million. And then recall on Monday, it was another 3 million ounces drained from the vault. So on Monday, it was 3 mil. Tuesday, it was 1 million. And then on Wednesday, they took the day off. It was only 3,000 ounces. But the same thing taking place over in the Shanghai futures vaults. And so, like I said, folks, if you want to be stacking up and draining the vaults alongside all of the smart money and institutions, and you're seeing the central banks around the world buying more gold than they have in 50 plus years. There was also a big drain from the gold vaults yesterday as well, over 100,000 ounces of gold. And so once again, the trend is here for those that have been paying attention here. The vaults are getting drained. They continue to short these silver and gold prices with their paper derivatives. But just like has been uncovered this week, the riggers are being caught. They've been rigging gold, they've been rigging silver, they've been rigging all these markets, and JP Morgan was a big part of that, and they continue to be a big part of that. Now, they throw two of their traders under the bus, Greg Smith and Michael Nowak, both going to be getting some prison time and some slap on the wrist fines for rigging these markets from 2008 to 2016, resulting in over 10 million in losses to market participants. And I would, if you go back and look and you look at, silver and gold still being suppressed, right? I would argue that there was even more damages potentially, much more than just 10 million, right? But that's what they were charged with, a little slap on the wrist, little deal for the JP Morgan boys. But it just goes to show everything that we've been talking about, right? The rest of the world sees that not only are we forcing our will at the end of the barrel of a gun, we've abused our power with the reserve currency, but our own Wall Street boys have been rigging these markets that the world is trying to move to. The rest of the world, right, has the alternatives. They don't need to come up with some fancy new idea. It doesn't need to be a new BRICS reserve currency, right? You just start to peg to currencies that we've been using for thousands of years, to commodities that we've been using and producing for hundreds of years, right? And this is the whole conversation at BRICS. Folks are starting to realize it, who are paying attention, like you guys, is that uranium and some of these other commodities are a matter of national security. Now, I started to pick up on this conversation back in January of this year when I went to the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. And I wasn't just around crazy gold bugs and crazy silver bugs, but there's these uranium guys too, right? And so that's when I first started to really get exposed. And over this last year, I've started to accumulate the precious metals, started to understand what was going around. And I still just don't know enough to invest in some of these other in the copper miners and the uranium miners. But I mean, these guys these guys were so bullish on everything that was taking place and the dynamics and everything. And this was before, this was at the beginning of this year, before this 15th BRICS summit that's taking place. And so this is massive. Like I said, their ability to suppress these assets is getting exposed. They're getting caught. They're throwing a few of their traders under the bus. But this shows you the trend on what's taking place here, which is going to be price discovery for the suppressed assets. And you bet XRP is included in that. We're about to get to XRP here shortly. Before we do, I want to cover this one from Robert Kennedy. President Biden just offered a $700 payment per household. I want to shift to what's taking place in America right now, what our program is. While BRICS is meeting, while the Wall Street boys are getting exposed, what's the plan? What's the program here in the United States? Well, for President Biden, it's offering a $700 payment per household to Maui residents. He's also asking for $25 billion for Ukraine. Let's do a little math. There are 50,000 households in Maui. $25 billion adds up to $500,000 per household. That gives you some idea of what this nation is sacrificing to fund the war machine. So we could literally build everyone a new house, a house that is actually more expensive than the median house. Probably not the median house in Maui, right? But you could construct something for each individual household, 50,000 households in Maui. But we need to send this over to Ukraine, according to President Biden. Now, as president, I'm going to scale down the military and the forever wars and bring our resources back home where they are needed. It isn't just Maui. Communities and working people are hurting all over. Now, I dropped last night my opinion on the Trump, Tucker, and the Republican debates. And I'm actually a big fan of what Robert Kennedy is interjecting into the conversation as well. I don't think that he will be elected president. I don't think that he has too strong of a chance. But I shared my thoughts on kind of what's taking place in the American political theater last night. If you guys want to go check that out, you can. But we're going to be continuing to watch this unfold. President Biden did just finally make it down to Maui to visit there, and we'll see if he's able to implement his program of the $700 per household and another $25 billion to Ukraine. And to Robert Kennedy's point, the communities back home need it. How is this confirmed? Well, it's not just our opinion. This is confirmed in the data that's being manipulated. The Bidenomics that's being touted is getting adjusted every single month. As a reminder, every month in 2023 had already been revised lower. Now we are revising 2022 as well. So they're going back here, revising every single month of job numbers by hundreds of thousands of jobs. This is a fake economy, right? They're talking about the soft landing. They're talking about Bidenomics, how we still have some strength. Folks should still be proud of our economy. It's just not reality. And we keep on bringing it back. It doesn't matter that NVIDIA just beat their earnings and NVIDIA is doing well and keeping the whole thing propped up. Actually, Jim Cramer just gave NVIDIA the kiss of death last night. He said, don't trade it, just hold it. Just own it. That's what he said. And I think that's the direct quote. Don't trade it, just own it. So NVIDIA, one of the 7 major tech stocks that has kept the S&P 500 propped up this whole time, just got the kiss of death. And as we continue to reiterate, when you look at the real situation for Main Street, for the middle class, for the poor, they're feeling it. They're feeling the pain. It's not good. It's not hot. These are not hot job numbers. We are losing the fight against inflation, as was confirmed in the most recent CPI update. But what you guys are all waiting for is to get to the crypto update, and we're going to talk about it. And what's being confirmed over in the crypto deal here is that the largest institutions in the world are moving ahead with tokenizing the internet of value, tokenizing real physical assets. We have $17 trillion small to medium enterprise market that needs to be addressed as well. And as we always say, what turns us on is the $1 trillion problem. So you guys know that. And then we're going to talk about another central bank that is showing interest or encouraged by Ripple and XRP. So let's get right on into it. So first off, we're talking about R3's little deal here. Their R3 core today. And they brought in global leaders from Citi, Gemini, IDC, IDC, they're a pretty big deal when it comes to market intelligence, advisory services, and events for the IT, telecommunications, and consumer technology markets. Morgan Stanley, and they all came through for R3's core today to share their views on the digitization of physical assets, the regulatory landscape, and the need for interoperability. Now recall, R3 also sitting on a Billy XRP, of course, and they're talking about the tokenization of financial assets. They are all moving forward. Now, Ripple's Pagah Sultani is commenting here on small to medium enterprises constitute a $17 trillion market. Ripple and XRP can help facilitate small to medium enterprise needs. Huge shout out to Digital Perspectives for sharing this one with us. Let's take a listen in.
So SMEs are crucial for the world economy. They ensure a ton of competition and drive innovation.
And we know in America, small to medium enterprises employ most people, right? Over 50% of people employed in America are through small to medium enterprises. So absolutely, they are absolutely critical.
Most of the companies in the world are actually SMEs. They're also a massive part of cross-border payments. So they constitute over $17 trillion of cross-border payments every year. And they're growing much faster than other segments. And a lot of that is spurred by the digital economy and their ability to tap into different markets for new customers. At the same time, they remain very underserved. So while they're big in totality and the aggregate volume is really big, by definition, each one of them is quite small. So when the incumbents are thinking of serving them, the perceived value that they get from these companies is less than what it costs them to serve them. So SMEs are...
Right. And basically, this is the same thing that's taking place across the world with... the unbanked. There's, over 1 billion people that are underbanked or unbanked. And this is because the cost to service them just doesn't make sense for most banks and institutions. Same thing for the small, medium enterprises, right? These are businesses that are too small. And this is why when you go to your bank, they have those limit on your business banking accounts. You got to have a certain amount or you get charged and all this and that. And they want to try to get you for all these banking services. They don't really care to take care of the very small businesses in America. Another opportunity for Ripple. And so what you're seeing in the cross-border payments landscape is they're going after these small niche, tight corridors with these small countries, right? Where the big players like Citibank and others and SWIFT, right? They just aren't connected. It's not part of the 11,000 member banks of SWIFT that, are moving most of the cross-border payments for the world. So Ripple's targeted these 40 plus corridors now where ODL's alive right now. These are corridors that are very small corridors that are underserved or not served at all by the traditional banking system. Same thing for the small to medium enterprise businesses. And this is an absolutely massive market with 17 trillion in cross-border payments from these businesses alone, right? So once again, 17 trillion in small to medium enterprises. You got over 30 trillion in nostro-vostro accounts, which is the pre-funding that banks require to do settlement between each other that gets eliminated, right? There's no pre-funding needed with on-demand liquidity. So you got a $17 trillion problem. You got a $19 trillion trade finance problem that is addressed by XDC, Zinfen, but also by Ripple and XRP as well. 30 trillion in nostro vostro. You have over hundreds of trillions in different bonds, securities, and real estate. Ripple working with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority right now on tokenizing real estate. And then you have derivatives as well, which Ripple was just joined the ISDA, the Derivatives Association, along with getting tasked by the Bank of International Settlements for cross-border payments interoperability as well, right? So you're seeing that Ripple's addressing multiple trillion-dollar problems, right? It's when you look at the size of all these problems, it is absolutely massive. It's hard to wrap your mind around it, right? But then, as I always say, we don't have to get all the money. We just have to get a small piece of this action, a small piece of this pie, and we get taken to paradise as we ride this wave. Now, what everyone's waiting for, another central bank talking about Ripple XRP and encouraged by Ripple XRP? How could this be, right? How many more central banks are left? How many more banks and institutions are left to admit that, yeah, we're partnered up with Ripple. Yes, we are interested and encouraged by XRP, right? And I was listening to a space yesterday, and people were talking about Ripple stock and XRP and kind of talking about the two. And I just find it hard to believe that all of these, folks and funds that got exposure to Ripple and invested in Ripple, I find it very hard to believe that they didn't want to get exposure to XRP too, right? And the conversation was about how some of these folks couldn't get exposure to XRP because they didn't have clarity, right? These are funds that for whatever reason are scared, or they don't feel like they have the clarity to get exposure or hold XRP. So how do they get exposure? They buy shares of Ripple. And, we could talk about SBI Group. That's the great conspiracy that goes back to the Rothschilds family, right? Owning a significant portion of SBI owning a significant portion of Ripple. Ripple obviously has a bunch of XRP. So in a roundabout way, second, third cousin, Rothschilds own XRP. That's where that conspiracy comes from, which is true. I mean, it is a fact. But the point that I was, that I wanted to bring up is the fact that it's hard to imagine that all of these folks that invested in Ripple in the stock shares of the company didn't want to or won't eventually try to get some XRP as well, right? I think that there is so much pent-up demand from folks that have their hands tied that simply cannot, get exposure to XRP. And you have to remember that Ripple's a company that's private right now. So even people that want to get exposure to Ripple, it's not an easy thing to do, right? You got to go to the private markets if you want to get exposure to Ripple right now. So I think that we're about to see the veil lifted, and you're about to see many folks admit that, yes, we already signed a contract. We already have an options contract for 1 billion XRP, right? We didn't know when we were going to be able to custody it. We didn't know when we were going to be able to take control of it, but we're able to sign this options contract, or what I'm talking about here. And I think that we have so much of that to be unveiled. Now, as far as the title reads tonight or today, another central bank getting exposure and encouraged by Ripple's XRP. Who is it? Any guesses? it would be the Central Bank of Pakistan. Now, I had to look this up. The State Bank of Pakistan is this just some small one-off bank in Pakistan? What's going on here? Nope. This is the Central Bank of Pakistan. It was nationalized a while back, as I was reading the Wikipedia on it, and it is the Central Bank of Pakistan today. Now, in their 2022 financial stability report, and I got to give a huge shout out to Wrath of Kahneman. If you aren't already following Wrath on Twitter, make sure you guys go do that. He is one of the best researchers in the XRP community, and he's probably the best at finding partnerships, right? It's almost like every single day Wrath of Kahneman is finding a new partnership. Now, not all of these partnerships are they using XRP, right? But this is where our speculation comes in. If they're partnered up with Ripple, if they're using RippleNet, they're partnered up with somebody else who's using RippleNet. I wonder when they're going to flip that switch type of deal. He finds many of those, right? They're not all partnerships where XRP's confirmed, but Ripple partner, the connections and the partnerships run deep. Wrath of Kahneman, probably one of the best at finding them. But he comments here on this 2022 financial stability report, which takes a dim view of crypto, but they know XRP as encouraging work despite its small size compared to global payment volume. So they say, while crypto assets offer some benefits, the realization of these benefits still require enabling preconditions. For example, to enhance financial inclusion through crypto assets, consumers need to be financially and digitally literate, the same challenge that consumers of traditional financial products face. Furthermore, while some encouraging work is being conducted to support cross-border payments, e.g. through Ripple's XRP, right? And note that they didn't say Ripple's RippleNet. They didn't say the company Ripple. They specifically say through Ripple's XRP, which obviously is an error. It's not Ripple's XRP, right? Ripple just chose XRP, and they do have a good stake of XRP. But it is not Ripple's XRP, right? If we're getting technical. And it still is only on a minuscule level compared to the volume of cross-border payments globally, which I have noted, right, is that RippleNet, which not all of RippleNet uses XRP, only on-demand liquidity uses XRP, but RippleNet has only done about $30 billion in settlement so far since 2019, which is nothing. And so I would concur with this report here from the Bank of Pakistan, and this is encouraging, just like they said, in that they are finding Ripple XRP to be encouraging despite the rest of crypto still kind of being held back, still having some challenges. There is some encouraging work that is being done with XRP. And so once again, another central bank. And one would wonder, right, if they've been in conversations. Are they one of the dozens of central banks that is in conversations with Ripple right now, as confirmed by James Wallace, VP Central Bank Engagement at Ripple? Five partnerships that are live, 5 that haven't been announced, and 20 plus conversations that are taking place with central banks. One would wonder if the State Bank of Pakistan is encouraged by Ripple's XRP, if maybe they have any sort of projects, pilots, conversations going down over there. But encouraging nonetheless, as another central bank acknowledging the progress of Ripple XRP despite their dim view on the rest of crypto. You love to see it. Not a surprise, not a shocker. This is what we already know and we have been speculating on. To see it confirmed, though, once again, is encouraging. And I really think that we're about to have the veil lifted. And we're seeing it lifted. There was just yesterday another BitPay out of somewhere. I don't know if it was BitPay or who it was. It was another exchange that was firing up the liquidity for XRP. And so you're just seeing it on a daily basis. Liquidity firing up, partners growing, central banks acknowledging, and price still down. So are you going to take advantage of that, right? Or are you going to complain about price, complain about the hard times? And let me be clear, I understand it's tough out there. As I went through the jobs numbers and I mentioned how the jobs numbers are being revised down every month this year. This is fake, phony, government manipulated data. When we cut through that BS, we know it's tough times out there. And, it's been an absolute pleasure for our community to be tapped in and understand that and prepare. But we still face many challenges where, we still have bumpy roads ahead. We still have many ripples to be felt throughout the global financial system, throughout the economy here on Main Street for the United States. And we have an election cycle that's going to keep folks distracted the whole way through. But like I always say, let all truth be revealed. Don't wait for Trump or any of these politicians to be your savior. Continue to take action on a daily basis. You can do so. And if you want a little bit more encouragement, you want to get tapped in with some other like-minded individuals, you can do so by joining our Discord community. Just head on over to my website, ZachRector.com. Now, on the way out, guys, hope you guys appreciated this episode. Make sure we smash that thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure you follow me over on that X.com platform. We got an interesting space coming up this Sunday with a former SEC lawyer. We're going to get into the mindset of the enemy. Former SEC lawyer Alex Damsker is going to be joining us on our Sunday space. So make sure you guys follow us over there. With that being said, I appreciate all of you guys, and we will see you in the next one. God bless you all.